Hi everyone. I have quite a lot to say, so just bear with me. Welcome to the 29th episode of my mini-series, Sisterhood Across States, which highlights the invisible fifth point to the Miss America crown, sisterhood. In these series, I've been using the power of technology to live stream with different Miss America local title holders to talk to them about topics within their system, within their lives, and within their communities. Speaking of communities, I acknowledge the hurt that is happening in many cities across the U.S. And the world is grieving right now for George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery, and the misuse of power that adds to injustice. I wouldn't be using my platform the right way if I didn't bring up these challenges and these matters, because they're important. And I want it to respond and not just react. And I will say that I am working on something to aid in my community and express my solitude as a woman of color, as a community leader, and as a human being. So thank you to those who have reached out in love, specifically the Diaz family, Cassie and Alyssa. Thank you for being a part of my family. And I know that I'm going to be the change that people need to see, that should be happening. And I really, really want to just use this as well, just to encourage anyone that's watching now or later, to ask yourself how you could be a face for change as well within your own community, title or no title. So moving into sisterhood, I'm so close to speaking to a local title holder from the Miss America organization from every single state, and I've come too far to stop now. So I'm going to continue to use my voice and talk to title holders. So in my last episode, I was able to speak to a Miss America title holder all the way from Maryland while I was in Maryland. Live streaming with me today, all the way from Louisiana. I'm really excited to be able to bring on Jessica, who is the current Miss Dixie Stock Show. So give me a moment. I will bring her on right now. Thanks everyone who's tuned in. Hello everyone, sending my love your way, sending my love.
Hey.
Hello, oh my goodness, hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you? I mean, I know it's a little tough to go right after talking about such a rough topic, but I just want to definitely tell you how much I respect the fact that you are using your voice, because I know it's going to make a huge difference in the grand scheme of things. I think we're paused. Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
we're good. I
it's
got
okay.
you. I heard you. Thank you for sending your love that way. And I think it's important to send love during a time like this and be that example as well. And thank you for, I know it's easy to possibly cancel on today. There's a lot that's happening. But I want to hear your story. I want to use my voice to hear your story as well. So I want to jump right into getting to know you more. Are you originally from Louisiana?
I'm born and raised in Slidell, Louisiana. I left for a couple years for college, but I came right back. So yes, ma'am.
Oh my goodness. And I love your accent. I can't get over it. Like, I'm not going to get over it this entire time. So I was able to live in Louisiana for a couple of years with my family. They were stationed in Fort Polk.
Okay.
So that was
I have no idea where that is. I'm so directional.
That's okay. I think it's like an hour or two from Alexandria.
Okay.
What part are you from?
I'm from Slidell, so I'm just 30 minutes outside of New Orleans. So we're in southern Louisiana. A lot of our local pageants are in northern Louisiana. There's only a couple that trickle down here. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just 30 minutes away from a really good time.
Wow. Yes. I loved going to the French market. It's beautiful out there. It is amazing. So, wow. Born and raised. And where did you go to college, or where did you attend?
So my undergraduate is from Southeastern Louisiana University, and I got my Bachelor's of Science in Health Systems Management, and then I got my Master's at LSU Shreveport in Health Administration.
Wow, that is amazing.
Mhm.
Well, congratulations on both of those accomplishments. That's awesome. Now, what is a fun
Yeah,
fact about your state?
exhaustive. I'm sorry.
Oh, what is a fun fact about your state?
So I was looking into this whenever I was preparing for this meeting, and I saw that the slogan for our state is "Fall in love with Louisiana all over again. Come as you are and leave different." And I really love this because I do believe that with the different personalities and characters that you're going to encounter in this state, you're never going to be able to come here and leave the same person. With the different melting pot of people and cultures, you're definitely going to have like a different insight on life. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
I love that slogan, and it's so relevant to now as well. I would hope that anyone
Mm-hmm.
coming encounter with people is just so life altering, and that's so cool. I have to figure out what our state slogan is. Awesome.
Yeah.
So what's a fun fact about you?
So I have two. One is something that typically surprises people because at the age of 18, I had to actually get heart surgery. So that's always one because I've always been a really healthy and active person. So that came as a surprise to most
Mhm.
people. And then the second is that I've been a background extra in a couple of like Hulu shows and Disney movies. So that's always an interesting one too. You can find me if you look hard enough.
Wow. Wait, you have to mention a few. Which are the ones that you've been involved in?
So just the main two is The Chaperone, which is a Disney movie, and then Looking for Alaska on Hulu. It's a Hulu original series.
I
You can
feel like
see me
I've
in
heard
that.
of that. That is so
Yeah, you
fun.
gotta
How did
watch it.
you get
It's very
involved in
good.
that?
Yeah, if you ever, I believe, I can't remember the website, but I can tell you later, and you can always post it for other people to get into if they wanted to. But it's very easy. You just sign up for it, you give your description, you put a couple pictures, and then they show different shows and movies that you can sign up for to be involved in.
To be an extra in. That's
Yeah,
so cool. That is
that's
such a fun. I would love to just do that for like as a hobby or something. That's
yeah.
very awesome.
If you're into makeup, you can easily become the makeup artist too. They grab you.
Not yet. I'm not ready. They'd be like, she's fired. Bad reputation before it even starts. Wow, that's really cool. What about one word that describes you?
I would say determined. I believe in everything that I have been involved in my life. I've done 150%. I'm one of those people that I don't always think super highly of myself, and that comes with a lot of things with mental illness. But I do think that I'm a hard worker, and whatever I set my mind to, I do it all the way.
Wow. Wow. I love that. I love the way that you explain that as well. What is your favorite food?
Ugh. I couldn't decide because that's my love language. So I will just say carbs. Carbs are my whole heart. I'm
Yes.
Italian. That's what we do best is carbs.
Oh my goodness. I cannot tell you. I love that you also said that's your love language because that is mine
Yes.
as well. And I'm like, this needs to be in the book or whatever the case may be. There just needs to be a whole thing titled The Love Language of Food because I'm a fan.
Food.
Like so many others are too. It's important.
Yes.
Food is
Yeah,
good.
it absolutely,
Carbs.
especially whenever you're going through the most, a good home cooked meal from your mama is all you need, you know?
Oh, yes. Okay, so Louisiana food. What would you
Mhm.
say are some tops? Just listing them off. I'm not going to ask you to choose one because I just know that's really hard.
Yeah, I mean, I would people would roll over in their grave if I didn't say crawfish or like things with crawfish in it, crawfish etouffee. But a classic is gumbo, and it's not just any gumbo. You have to have it made right. And don't tell my mom. I love her and I love her cooking, but my grandma, the best gumbo that ever existed. Oh my gosh.
I'm
You
sure
are
she would not
invited.
be
Anytime
mad.
you're in Louisiana, you're allowed to come visit me and I'll get you my grandma's gumbo.
Oh, you did not have to tell me twice because I made the mistake of being out in Louisiana and visiting my family and then having a whole bunch of crawfish and then thinking I can come back to Phoenix, Arizona where there's no water, like no ocean in sight and coming back and having some
Right.
crawfish at a restaurant and I'm like,
Well, if you ever want it, you can always just make sure to get the seasoning online and ship it to you. It's really easy, or I can send it to you in a little care package, a
oh my
Louisiana care.
goodness. You have my heart, Jessica. Love language of food. Love language of food.
Yes, ma'am.
So I know that you talked about going to college and the pursuits of that. What are you actively doing professionally? Are you working within the fields that you studied in?
So Unfortunately, and it's okay, I'm very comfortable talking about it. I honestly just lost my job due to the coronavirus. So today I've been actively job searching. And I mean, fortunately, if you think about it, I'm preparing for the best job that you could apply for, which is Miss Louisiana. But behind the scenes, the professional field that I'm looking to be in is healthcare, bottom line. But I eventually want to work as a hospital administrator for a behavioral health facility. So I know that that is not something that I can immediately go to. I definitely have to work
Right.
up to it. So I've just been looking for whatever I can get my hands on and really get to learning, because that's what's most important. But I was working at SCP in Picayune, Mississippi, SCP Health, and we worked really closely with many different health systems across the states. So
Wow.
they would fly us out and we would develop the Wellness Works program. And it was an amazing opportunity. And I hope that the opportunity will arise itself again once the coronavirus slows down.
Right.
But we'll see. I'm
Yeah,
hopeful.
absolutely. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
thank you so much for being open about that as well. I know that is not a singular struggle, so I appreciate you just sharing that live. And I wish you the best in your job search as well. I know
Thanks.
that's
Yeah.
its own journey for sure. Now, what was your dream job as a child?
Whenever I was a kid, I definitely wanted to be a physician. Then I grew up and saw the prerequisites to be a physician. And I knew that that would be a long journey. And honestly, looking back now, I probably could have tackled it with the amount of time I did put into school.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, I love where I'm leading to, because honestly, what I'm doing is going to go hand in hand with my platform. So this isn't, my platform won't be just like a portion of my life. I'm going to be working on it for a lifetime, and I
Right.
couldn't ask for better. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. I don't even think I knew as a kid what a physician was. I
Yeah,
don't
I
think
want to
that
be a
ever.
doctor.
I think I was like, I want to be an
Specifically used to
actress.
say a child, like a cancer doctor for children, and now that I
Mm-hmm.
look back on it, I'm like, how? No, like my heart is so tender. I cry at literally everything, so I don't understand how I thought I could cope with that position,
Right.
but that's what I wanted to be.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. I was like, I think I wanted to be, I don't know. I mean, it ranged from princess one day to actress to who knows
Oh,
what
yeah.
else.
I also wanted to be Belle, so it was
Yeah.
like,
I love that. That's awesome. What about, oh, just kind of transitioning into the competition portion of questions. It's
mm-hmm.
when and why did you start competing?
Okay, so I started competing a little over a decade ago. I started initially a National American Miss, and then actually Miss Missy Segretti, which is a local pageant director in our community. She does the Miss Liddell, Miss St. Tammany Heritage pageant. She was starting up that local pageant, and then she needed more girls to participate. And I just decided to be one of those girls, and I just so happened to win Miss North Shore's Outstanding Teen. And that started my journey, and I absolutely fell in love with it. I went to state and met all those beautiful girls, and it was just really nice to, sometimes it's hard to make friends with girls because we can be competitive, but in all reality, all of these girls were very welcoming, warming, very kind, and it went against every pageant stereotype that I had ever heard of before. And it was just a great outlet to meet girls that had the same kind of, goals and ideas that I had. So it was just really nice. And we had connections like these, had opportunities to meet people, and it was just a nice thing to do. And it always helps that you get scholarships for school. So I was trying to think ahead.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the scholarships definitely help, and the friendships, like you said, make it even
Mm-hmm.
more. It makes it sweeter. Honestly, it makes
Yeah.
it worth it in a different way. Um, and how many years ago was that for Outstanding Teen?
I believe it could have been 2000. I'm thinking it's about 10 years ago, or it could be 11. I'm not sure
Wow.
how old I was, but I did state, at least I know I had 3 teen titles, and then I took a good break from
Okay.
Miss. At first, it was initially because I was afraid of swimsuit, but then I dived in regardless of that. And, I wanted to take a little bit of time for school and because I was moving. But once I got back in, I've been head on since. So.
Wow. That's what I was going to ask, is whether or not you had taken a break or not. I was really curious.
Mm-hmm.
You did take a break,
Yeah,
and
so this is actually my first Miss title. And I'm very open about that too. I tried many, many times. And I think that things worked out perfectly and just the way that they needed to, because I wasn't in the right mindset or the right place where I could give all of me and all of my time to those
Right.
titles at those times, whether it was because of school work or just because of my mental health headspace. And so things are just aligning perfectly now. And now
Right.
that I don't school whatsoever and I'm done with all my degrees, I'm able to give that time to my platform.
Well, I'm glad, and kudos to you for taking those breaks, because it's like only you know when you need those breaks. That's awesome, and I feel like so many title holders, they come out stronger because of that. Just through my conversations with other sister title holders. What about your talent within competition? What is it that you do?
I always get excited to talk about my talent. So, and I started from the jump playing guitar and singing to original music and to my original lyrics. And I've changed it every now and then to just singing in general, just so that I can focus on one talent at a time. But I really, at Miss Louisiana, regardless of how many people have told me to only do one talent, I really wanted to do what I've always done from the very beginning, and that was to be up there with my guitar. So I will be up there, and I'm going to be singing a song that I recently wrote this year called Wounds. So I'm looking
Wow.
forward to that once I once I finally perform it. I'll put it up on social media.
Wow. So this is going to be something completely new that no one's heard. It's going to be live for the first time on stage.
Right. Like even my
Wow.
mom hasn't heard the song yet. So.
Oh my goodness. So
Yeah.
she's going to be at a surprise too.
Yeah, I
Wow.
always surprise my friends and family. They always want to hear my talent before performing, but I get all nervous. So I'm like, okay, well, if they don't hear it until the one time I do perform it, it's like I'm performing it to them instead of this huge audience, you know?
Wow, and that's something so personal too. I can like you're opening up yourself not only to your song, but then also a piece of you, because songs are just written so personally and passionately. So I'm excited to hear it now that I know about this. I'm going to be looking out for this Louisiana State pageant, looking out for your song. Now, your other songs that you've written. Oh yes, yes, please tag me in that, and I will definitely post it. But your other songs that you've written, what are kind of the themes that are stemmed from it?
So the very first one that I wrote in teen, it was, if we're being very honest, it was my take on being Taylor Swift, and I was singing about a boy. But then I realized, I could take that time, that 90 seconds on stage, to sing about something personal. And my objective every time I go on stage is to make not only the judges, but the audience and whoever's there to feel something. And so if I can, use that time to, promote again my social impact initiative and really make them understand another piece of me that they couldn't maybe before an interview. Now I definitely sing about my experiences, either with mental illness, sexual assault, or just like my struggles in general, just because I it's a little bit more authentic and vulnerable to be on stage and sing about something like that.
Right, right. And who are some of your music idols?
The top two would definitely have to be Christina Aguilera and Demi Lovato. Those voices, I just think, can't be topped.
Wow, they're powerhouses. You chose some powerhouses. Are you a powerhouse? Oh no, it froze.
Those beautiful ladies. I don't think I'm. Oh, it did? Oh, I was just saying, I would definitely not compare myself to either one of those like fantastic singers. I definitely think that I I'm an okay singer. I just don't know if I would compare myself to them at all.
Do you have anything posted of you singing on your page currently?
I don't honestly know. I know that I've probably had something on Facebook at one point or another, but I'll try to find something and I'll tag you in it, or I'll post something soon.
I feel like you're being so modest. I love a modest woman, but we'll find out. I'm so excited to hear you sing.
Yeah, I'm gonna post something just for you.
Yes, I would love that. See, I sing as well. So mine is more like that soulful vibe. I'm more of like
I definitely try
type feel. I definitely try.
Yeah,
I try. That. I love hearing people sing. I think it's a beautiful talent. So wow, now I'm really excited to you write as well. So that's going to be awesome. What is your favorite portion of competition and why?
I think, as you can tell, I like to talk. So I think interview is definitely one of my strong suits because talent actually makes me incredibly nervous. I definitely don't ever feel like I do my best on stage, just because I do think it's a very personal portion for me because of what I do for my talent. But of course, I enjoy it. But I would definitely say interview, just because that's the moment, that's the time that you really get with the judges for them to really get to know you and why you're doing this in the first
Right. No, yeah, absolutely. And that's why I love doing these interviews with title holders, because it's another extension past 9 minutes and 30 seconds where
right.
it's not rushed. But it is exciting. And I like to ask, what has been a question or questions that you've received that made you think, really?
So there's one that I actually get pretty frequently, and I still don't know the perfect answer. And that is, how do I approach a child, like an innocent little child, about my social impact initiative? Because maybe the viewers may not have heard it before, but it has to do with sexual assault and mental illness. So these are topics that children don't often hear about, and it can be a little rough to discuss with them. And honestly, my response varies depending on, like, if I have been able to talk with a child recently about my social impact initiative. But I do have 9 nieces and nephews, and I have talked to them a little bit, only because they've heard me compete before, and they've heard these topics. And I think it's all about the vocabulary that you use and being gentle and knowing how to speak to someone at their age and using the words that they're going to understand, but not take it too far to where you're making them feel beyond uncomfortable. So
Right.
it's a fine line.
Right, right. And let's talk about your social impact initiative. What is it? What's the title of it, and kind of why you chose that to be what you are advocating for?
So it's called Why Add the Pain. And when I first began the Miss Louisiana organization in Outstanding Teen, it was just focused around mental health awareness, and specifically with self-harm, because I had a history with that. So it's why at the physical pain when the emotional pain is overpowering you. And then since my college years, I've actually come out. Actually, it was in November at one of the preliminary pageants, the local pageants, that I started talking about my experiences with sexual assault and rape. And I have broadened it to include that, not only to, support victims, but to give them an advocate and an example of someone who didn't let, their victimhood look one way. I decided to move past that and use such a hard time in my life to do something really good.
Yes, and what is in your social impact initiative? What do you think is one of the most important parts about people understanding it, and also being a part of the change?
So one of the biggest things that I always like to focus on is just allowing people to feel heard and believed and understood, because those are the biggest issues that I have faced personally, and whenever I've spoken to other victims or other survivors. But I think the main focus of it, the biggest difference we can make, is actually saving people, because these issues could lead to very detrimental decisions that will forever impact not only them but their friends and family. So yeah.
And on the topic of impact, with you having your current job and then now looking into the job of Miss Louisiana and further on to that as Miss America, what are ways that you are thinking of, ways that you've or implemented already that help your social impact initiative?
So I've already spoken with the Slidell Mayor Cromer about a lot of these ideas that I have, but one of the main ideas that I have that can be seen, you know, throughout the country is our education system. And that meaning that, we need to educate our students on what mental illness is, what it is like, and what to do in the case that their friend or family member is suffering, or if they are personally suffering. Two, to make sure that we're providing the resources to our students. And one of those resources being our teachers. Are they properly equipped to handle a child with mental health issues? Or is that fifth detention of this month going to help them more than an hour session with the counselor at their school? And then 3, I really think that we need to change the way that we do sex education. I do think that a lot of the focus when I went through it personally was on abstinence. And while that is important, we have to make sure that we're educating our students that if they do decide to participate in any kind of sexual act, that they are doing it safe and they're doing it under the means that they are educated. Because if they don't get educated in their school, they're going to find it elsewhere online, and that's going to lead to misinformation. And the most important part is that they're not being educated on consent. So that needs to be highlighted, and it needs to be a focal point in our sexual education.
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's so interesting working for a university, and that's a topic that comes up often is consent, what that looks like. And it is surprising. It's shocking, really, how many people don't really identify the differences or what consent is in general. And being able to educate individuals is important. What are some resources that you kind of want to plug into the interview that you maybe looked into, whether it be nationwide or local, that you're wanting to partner with or are working with, I guess?
So there's a great organization called NAMI, and they do walks across the country, but they also have a lot of resources on their site. I always plug their website because they literally have all kinds of resources for all kinds of avenues. It's not just mental health. It's also for those that have encountered sexual assault or any other situations that's personal to them. I also have my own website. It's called whyaddthepain.com. And there I post different resources that people can go to, but also I have kind of personal type blogs about how I've gotten through the things that I have faced, and then also how I've helped others. And there are also other people's personal stories that they have went through, and they have bravely decided to put their story out there. Some have chosen to, go incognito and not include their name, but some have also chose to include their name. And I always encourage people that if you want to put your story out there to help other people, other victims and survivors, feel free to reach out to me, and I don't mind adding you to our beautiful list of people.
Wow, that is fun, because I was just going to ask, how can I support what you're doing? And I definitely want to check out your page. So say that again, the name of it, so I can make sure.
It's www.whyaddthepain.com, and it's on my Instagram too if you ever need the link. And just keep in mind that I have had that website for like about 10 years. So some of the posts were written by a very young teenage me, and the most recent ones are the current me. So back then I had a lot of semicolons and smiley and winky pictures. Nowadays, things are a little different.
Yes, it's the growth. It's growth. We love to see growth, visible growth.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's awesome.
I
love
keep
that you
all
have
those original posts because,
that is awesome.
Yeah.
That is a great encouragement even for other local title holders or title holders in general to have their own website. I know that is an awesome way to get people plugged into what you're doing. So that's awesome. Really innovative of you to do that.
Yeah.
We kind of talked about this. Oh, nationally, what is something that you would want to do or see throughout communities? Something maybe that you haven't mentioned, perhaps?
I definitely, again, with the changing just our sexual education system and the way that our teachers are teaching and how they are educated themselves on mental health, just period.
Right.
But also, have you ever heard of DARE? I don't know if that's just the Louisiana thing.
No, that's it might be everywhere, but I've heard of it.
Okay, so I would like to eventually host my own type of, like, not necessarily a seminar, but something similar to DARE, where they go out to schools and they have these almost shock value educational seminars to really just show the stories of people that have been impacted, while theirs is about drugs and alcohol. Mine would be, I would like to talk about drugs and alcohol because of the opioid epidemic, but also just the sexual assault prevention and what to do if you encounter someone that may be going through something with a mental illness. And I would like to bring survivors and victims as people that can speak their truth. I don't want it to just be me and my voice, because while I may be able to be relatable to one girl, there are also so many young boys that don't have anyone that's standing up for them. And soon I will be partnering with this man that I met through a family friend, and he actually went through his own, I want him to tell his story, but his own experiences with sexual assault. And he would like to finally stand up and use his business as a means to help not only himself, but others in the process. So I would like situations like that, so that boys also have an example and someone to use as their, go-to in case they ever struggle themselves.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that, is just like including that male figure within your social impact initiative, and noticing that there is a need there as well, because there's so many stigmas as well placed onto, what that looks like within the opposite genders. And
Right.
how that ranges, and reports and everything is just so drastically different. So I look forward to that. I look forward to that partnership for you. That's amazing. I know you hit on a misconception within your social impact initiative, but are there any more that you want to also bring up?
I think that just even outside of my social impact initiative, but in just pageants in general, I do think that when we walk into a room so that we can make a difference with people who are these decision makers, they see a crown and a sash and they think, oh, a beauty pageant. Like, what are you really do? And so I think one of the main misconceptions is that we aren't doing what we're doing to truly make a difference. And that is the largest misconception that I have seen, because I have met the most inspirational, like deep rooted, passionate women in this like whole organization that just want to do so much more with the platform that they have. And it's not even our individual social impact initiatives. We're passionate to support other women in their endeavors, like you are for all of us. I think it's amazing how supportive we are of our competitors, because I know a lot of people think, oh, that's your competition. What are you doing to help? What are you doing helping them? But that's the misconception. We're not here to just compete. We're here to make a difference. And so I think that would be the perfect one to discuss.
And I think there's also a misconception behind the idea that your social impact is the only thing that you have to be doing. I think through sisterhood, and I've grown through this series, because I didn't originally ask the question in the beginning of this, how can I support you? Like, what is something I can do now? But that's what I've added on. And I take your social impact initiative and I say, what can I take from what our conversation was and actively start doing something now? And you just start to build yourself up and learn from so many of these awesome women. And I think this is incredible what you're doing within your community. It's inspiring, and I think it's going to go a long way with especially the younger individuals who just need to know this information from an early start. So that's an awesome misconception that you hit on, as far as what goes on within the organization too.
I completely agree.
Your next question, I love this. It's kind of like the timed question. This is your last 30 seconds of your interview. And I want to ask you, why, Jessica, do you want to be Miss Louisiana? You can go ahead and start.
Okay. So as many of you know, a lot of people know someone who is a sexual assault victim or a sufferer of mental illness, but a lot of us don't know is that they're not isolated in their experiences. And as Miss Louisiana, I would not only serve as an advocate for these people, but also as an example that their darkness doesn't have to dim their light. As Miss Louisiana, I would have a broad and vast platform where I could reach adolescents, and that would give me an opportunity to save youth from a real and permanent decision of suicide. And if that means just helping one person, that would mean every second of the past 10 years.
Perfect. I was like, hi, you didn't hear me, but it's okay. It's okay.
No, it's okay.
I was like, hi, and you didn't
add a crackle.
It's okay. I was like, hello. No, that's perfect. You were only 8 seconds over, but it's okay.
Oh, okay.
It's okay. We're not at state. It's totally fine.
It's my Italian extra point. That's what
just
I
a
exactly.
little, just a little extra on there. I love
Oh,
all
no,
of
oh wait, this is a tidbit. That's a
the
Louisiana thing. It's called a little lanyard when it's a little extra.
little extra. What is it called?
It's called lanyard. So if you ever go into a store to buy something and they give you something extra, that's called lanyard.
Lanyard. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
The whole
And we
time I
actually
was
have
there,
a
I've
Miss
never heard that.
lanyard. Mm-hmm. We have a
Really?
Miss lanyard 2020.
Oh, I would love that. Miss Extra. I'd be so
Yeah.
extra.
That's technically what their name is. I'm gonna have to tell her that. I'm gonna be like, technically, you're Miss Extra.
I would
That's
have an
great.
excuse to wear whatever. I love
Mm-hmm.
prints and everything. I'd be so extra towards everything. That is awesome. That's a great name.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for answering that question, Miss Louisiana. I want to encourage you as well. Something that I've had to like take and kind of take this mental roadblock away is you don't have to wait till you're Miss Louisiana. You don't have to wait till you're Miss America to do things in your community that are going to create drastic changes. I
Mm-hmm.
speak now that you're already Miss Louisiana and you can do whatever with your social impact initiative. So sky's the limit. I wish you the best at state. That's going to be awesome. And your new song, to hear it. I'm so excited.
I'll
Um,
tag you.
yes, please. Last question is, what would be your advice to someone who wants to compete?
Just put every nervousness or anxiety feeling that you have down and just do it, and just to be genuinely you. Don't go in trying to be what the judges want you to be, and don't go in seeing the fellow girl as your competitor. Go in just being open-minded and true to yourself, and be kind to everyone around you.
Wow. I think something that stuck out to me with that was being genuine. I loved
Mm-hmm.
watching Miss America last year with the judges that we had last year. It was awesome to just hear them say over and over again that they were looking for someone who would be genuine in their
Yeah.
position. And that's something that you
Vulnerable and
cannot fake.
authentic.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
genuine and authentic. And that's something that you cannot fake. No matter how well you play it off, it's always going to be visible. So whoever's watching this, that's some awesome advice that you've given. And thank you again for being a part of this. I like to leave this last section kind of open if you want to hit on anything else within your social impact initiative, or if you want to ask me questions, whatever you want to talk about, the floor is yours.
Okay. Well, first, I would like to just tell anyone who is listening that if you are going through something, whether it may be large or small, I am always here and open, for you to vent to. You can message me personally, or you can be anonymous through my email, jessica.thonn@yahoo.com. I'm always here as your rock and your shoulder to lean on. But I did want to ask you, just because of everything that is going on right now, what can listeners do now, in your opinion, to help the current situation? And to be very blunt, asking the question, what can white people do to help Black people end this racial injustice, and to do good for that community?
Right. As a Black woman or woman, I think the question is something that I've been wrestling with a lot, and it's caused just a flurry of emotions within me as far as, what is that anyone can do at this point? What is something that I can do? And I think it comes with first starting with a lot of self-reflection, identifying what your biases are, what your prejudices are, because everybody has them.
Yeah.
And they're just not, you just have to deeply look at yourself to be able to say, because it's so simple to say, I've never had a biased thought. I've never had any prejudice towards anyone, but there are the invisible aspects of us that we don't realize. And sometimes it takes a moment of clarity and reflection to think on those. So I think first recognizing those things and taking that initial step. There's active organizations who are also creating different funds. So if you want to monetarily give that way. But I think when it comes to anyone, my encouragement is, how do you want to see, what change do you want to see, and how can you be that in your daily lives, and how can you start practicing that now? And there's no specific way to pinpoint that, and it's unfortunate that it's so broad. Yes, you can vote. Voting is a huge thing that is happening, and it's up and coming, and I encourage everyone to do that.
Yes.
But there's just so much to tackle at this point. And I'm still in a period educating myself. And that's another thing that people can do, is just educate yourself, be in silence. And I know right now it's a unique period too, because silence is sometimes taken as they're against me, but that's not the case. Everyone grieves differently, and I have to respect that. I have to give people the space that they need, because I needed that time. And to rush people into, we'll decide what you're doing right now, is not fair, because, you know, it's asking people to change a lot of their ways. And for things that have been happening now, they've been happening for years. And so really self-reflection and self-reflection and being a change that you wish to see. That is my biggest encouragement. Educate yourself.
To piggyback off of what you're saying, while I would never push somebody to do something that would change who they are, but if you do feel that, you know, that thing in you to say something and do something, I highly encourage that. And for anyone, no matter, you know, what your background is, if you are going out there and if you are protesting, just to be safe and to make sure that you're following all of these guidelines that they're posting about, you know, sticking together and making sure that you have a means to, if you're arrested just for simply being there, to get out, or to protect your eyes if you know, get blasted with some kind of chemical they have at the time, but just to make sure that you're protecting yourself and the people that are around.
Right. I have something that is, I'm not going to share it yet because it's still in the works, and I want to make sure that when I start to voice myself, that it's not just me doing a post, that I'm very action based. And if I'm going to put something out, that people have a next step, of something like, okay, yes, she posted about this, but what can I do? And that's, so the answer to your question is up and coming, but this is what I have so far, and I think it's going to be great, and I'm excited. I hope that you will be able to participate in this as well. So I'm excited. So stay tuned, everyone who's watching now or later. But thank you for asking that question, and thank you for making it relevant now.
I think it's always important to support each other in everything that we do, no matter what it is, because it means something to someone we care about. So,
absolutely. Well, did you have any other thing that you wanted to add?
Not at the moment, but I'm sure my talkative self will figure out something later on. So if anybody wants to follow me, please do so. And if you have any questions, feel free to message me. And also, you feel free to talk to me anytime you want, because I absolutely loved getting to talk to you today. You're a great person.
Me as well. Her website is on her link to her Instagram. I'll point that out as well. Plug that in now. Thank you for being a part of the 29th episode. To whoever who's watching, spread love, spread kindness, educate yourself. And we are signing off for this episode.
Thank you for having me.
Jessica. Bye.
You too, baby. Bye.